Hi, my name is Claire, and today we're going to be talking about Of Montreal's debut record, Cherry Peel,
It came out in 1997.
on Bar None Records. So when you look at Of Montreal, they've got like a huge discography, and Cherry Peel is like the definition of a twee album. It's like twee, 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 Tweety Bird, twee, twee, tweed case. Twee is like, it's like cutesy, it's like Belle and Sebastian, maybe. It's like beat happening.
We'll be right there, Spy Girls.
It's just cutesy. Twee. So on Cherry Peel, you've got a very analog, very sincere sound. Really Beatlesy technique. You got your jangly pop guitar, and it's growing through like what sounds to me like a Vox amp. And they also use for bass what I would assume to be a Rickenbacker. You got that plunk, 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 plunk Rickenbacker bass, you know? It's very Paul McCartney. When you use the bass melodically like that, you're going up and oop. It's really fun. It's just very Beatles. Kinks, and The Who, of course. Like I think of Village Green. Another release following this album,
The bird who continues to eat the rabbit's flower.
you got them covering The Who even. They know that their influences are on their sleeves. The only song that strays from that is Springtime is the Season. On that song, you got what I would describe as Cassiocore, you know? So basically, Cassiocore is like, to me, just like really silly, cheesy piano parts, like kids' keyboards, and just making like an aesthetic out of it. To get really niche with it, I know like modern emo that has its own Cassiocore niche section, like Ginger Bee and Hey I Love You, childish and innocent sound, which ties in with the twee. Because of that, Springtime is the Season ends up like a really cute respite. Personally, I really love the specifically southern twee. Every time I say that word, take a shot. That encapsulates this album. And with that, we have to take a moment, of course, to talk about Elephant Six. Without me splurging too deeply into it, it could have its own documentary. Oh wait, it does! In the mid-90s, there was this scene in Athens, Georgia that were all really into 60s pop music and analog recording, real embrace of the past, and retro aesthetics. People like Jeff Mangum, yes, that, Jeff Mangum, Robert Schneider of the Apples in Stereo, and bands like Elf Power and the Olivia Tremor Control, they were all really into the 60s psych pop era. It was true DIY spirit.
We're all inspiring each other and working together on each other's tracks. And
everybody was in 4 different bands, and there was a possibility of a great set or a great, lineup any night.
Well, there's a couple shows every week. Everybody will go to Olivia Tremor Control, New Milk Hotel, and Elf Power, and the Gerbils, and Summer Hymns, and Marshmallow Coast.
It's nice when weirdos can congregate together, and that definitely happened at that time period.
They were fans of Smile by the Beach Boys, the Beatles' Revolver, and all these records that playing with the possibilities of composition. And they were all doing it on analog tapes with a mix of 4 tracks, 8 tracks. That's why this album has what some people would call a lo-fi sound, because it's recorded to tape, the production isn't perfect. I think it sounds great, but personally I never use lo-fi as a negative descriptor anyway.
One of my favorite albums is The Glow Part 2 by the Microphones.
To me, what separates this album from a lot of other twee albums is just how crazy Kevin Barnes is with his chords. They write really weird melodies, and they're just really infectious, and they back them up with some crazy chords. Like, you have a song like When You're Loved Like You Are on this album. It's yet another sweet loving pop song. It's got it's got this like really old-timey drum part.
But even that song has 10 chords with somewhat unorthodox movements.
So this offbeat songwriting is what has always set apart Of Montreal. In this period of Kevin's career, you got songs that are really sung from the heart, and they're really personal sounding. It's very, very resonant and youthful. On the next few Of Montreal albums, Kevin goes more and more into fictional, silly, cartoonish characters. On The Gay Parade and Bedside Drama, you have like a lot of magical realism, whereas here you have this like little twee guy that's just telling his little thoughts. I think that's one thing that keeps this album at the forefront of the most popular Of Montreal albums. Because this album's normal enough for your average music listener to go, me likey, this is like Beatles, this is fun, this is cute. When you compare this to your average Skeletal Lamping lyric, then you have a good case for why this is like probably the best album to start off with. Unless they're a weirdo like me who likes the crazier side of things. Yeah, anyway, going through the album's track list, I'm gonna highlight a few of my favorites. I love all of them, honestly, but I'll just talk about a few so that we're not here all day. The opening track, Everything Disappears When You Come Around, is just the greatest, perfect introduction to Montreal, really. You got really cute harmonies, and the whole shebang of melody and chords. In the intro, Kevin kind of tricks you with like really simple chord progression. Really simple, right? But then, in the verse, he goes, when you come around, everything else disappears. My ears disappear. And that right there, those 4 chords are like totally different, but like way more interesting. When I first discovered this band when I was 14 and I first listened to this album, I was like, who in the world writes like this?
They interview the people who were witnesses.
Like those kind of little chord changes always get me. And you also get a real sneak peek at the quirky lyrical writing style of Kevin that you get further on in their discography. The abnormalities. Like who says abnormalities in a pop song? Another favorite of mine is In Dreams I Dance With You. This is a really fun switch up at the end of the song where it goes from 4/4, which is common time, into a waltz. And it's got like really circusy elements that are really fun. I remember when I mentioned that this album was more palatable and normal. Well, on this song,
Rate this.
it's always quirky. I'd say one of the standouts on the album is Don't Ask Me to Explain. And it's a really power pop song. And I'm not going to get into power pop because that's its own thing. But in the intro, you got your riffs, you got the vocals singing right over it, the melody, and you got this really saccharine turnaround between verses and choruses. Don't ask me to explain. It's such a cute, catchy chorus. And then that bridge has some of the most relatable lyrics. Kevin wants to live in a house with all of their friends. I know I've been there, especially when you're younger and more insecure, and you need the love of those around you. You just want the people you love to stay forever. It's just like entirely gentle nature that I really love every time I listen to this album. You really feel the songwriter, and I think as a songwriter myself, that's something that is really inspiring. Anyway, I'm glad to start making these music YouTube videos with an album I really care about. I got the record right here. So I'm gonna close off with one of my favorite songs with some of my favorite lyrics on this album. And I think they really encapsulate Kevin's essence and what led to the rest of their 18+ album career. I'm not funny. I'm not funny. I'm not funny. I'm not funny. You come around. I don't know.